stop-and-go traffic, rising fuel prices, and the constant pressure to find a cheaper, cleaner way to get to work without breaking the bank. Maruti Suzuki's answer to that pressure is this, the wagonR Flex Fuel. It looks exactly like the everyday, accessible hatchback millions of families already rely on. Maruti's advertising makes a bold claim, India's first flex fuel car, running on blends from E20 to E85. At 7.24 lakh rupees, they're aggressively packing it with robust safety features, including 6 airbags, ESP, and ABS. This means we aren't looking at some overpriced experimental concept. Maruti is trying to bring alternative fuel technology directly to the budget-conscious commuter. So what exactly does flex fuel mean? Put simply, the engine has a computer that automatically adjusts to whatever you put in the tank, whether that's standard petrol or a mix of up to 85% ethanol. You don't have to choose one or the other at the pump. The system seamlessly transitions between mixtures. Unlike dual fuel setups like CNG, where you manually switch between 2 separate tanks, flex fuel all goes into one single tank. But here is the challenge facing buyers today. Are you investing in an affordable bridge to greener, cheaper driving? Or are you paying for advanced engine technology that you'll be forced to run on standard petrol anyway? Because ultimately, they have zero control over. From a mechanical standpoint, Maruti kept the proven 1.2-liter K12N engine. It still pushes out 91 horsepower and 114 newton-meters of torque, so you aren't sacrificing that peppy city driving dynamic. The immediate draw for drivers is the price board at the fuel station. E85 ethanol is noticeably cheaper per liter to pump than standard petrol. But there is a mathematical catch. Ethanol physically contains less combustible energy per drop than pure petrol. This chart shows exactly what that looks like. You get a high energy density with pure petrol, while the same physical volume of E85 gives you a lower energy output. For you, the driver, lower energy density means your car burns through that fuel faster. A full tank of E85 will yield a shorter overall driving range than a full tank of standard petrol. To find out if you are actually saving money, you have to calculate your specific cost per kilometer. You have to balance the cheaper upfront price at the pump against the reality that you are getting fewer kilometers per liter. Filling up for less feels great, but when you run the math, driving on E85 is often a break-even scenario rather than a massive financial windfall. Part of the reason E85 exists at all is because of where it comes from. India's ethanol is heavily derived from the domestic agricultural sector, primarily sugarcane. The government is heavily pushing this ecosystem to reduce reliance on imported oil and increase domestic energy security. But high-profile launch ceremonies don't automatically equal reliable, everyday access for consumers.
But the current reality is incredibly localized. High-blend ethanol is mostly clustered around a few major metropolitan areas and specific states, leaving massive gaps across rural India. Looking at this distribution map, you can see these dense pockets of E20 and E85 availability. Outside of those specific zones, the pumps simply aren't there yet. If you live outside one of these active rollout zones, you can certainly buy an E85 wagonR, but you will effectively be driving a standard petrol car until the infrastructure catches up. Let's assume you live in one of those empty zones. If we completely ignore the E85 capability, is this car still worth 7.24 lakh? To answer that, look at the physical hardware included as standard. Maruti is offering 6 airbags, an electronic stability program, and an anti-lock braking system. In the current market, finding that specific combination of safety features in a hatchback at this price point is highly unusual. This scorecard breaks down the inherent value of the car. When graded purely on safety hardware, daily performance, and asking price, it scores exceptionally well, even before factoring in alternative fuels. So if your local E85 infrastructure never materializes, you are still left with a highly competitive, remarkably safe family vehicle that runs perfectly fine on standard petrol. Of course, if you are walking into a Maruti showroom looking for economy, you are going to compare this directly against the massively popular wagonR CNG model. This visual highlights the most immediate physical trade-off, boot space. The CNG variant requires a large, heavy cylinder that eats up almost your entire trunk.
Because the flex fuel model uses the standard petrol tank, your cargo space remains completely untouched. Then there's the fueling experience. CNG stations are everywhere, but you'll often sit in massive queues to fill up. E85 pumps are fast, but they are incredibly rare. CNG is the proven choice for buyers willing to sacrifice trunk space and time for guaranteed financial savings. Flex fuel is for drivers who want a normal car experience and are willing to wait for the fuel network to expand. Let's bring the infrastructure, the economics, and the hardware together to figure out exactly what you should do. This decision tree evaluates your options. First filter, geography. Are you in a metro area with active E20 or E85 pumps? If yes, the second filter is practicality. Do you absolutely need full boot space, ruling out the CNG model? If you answered yes to both, you are the perfect fit. You're an urban commuter in an upgraded fuel zone who wants 6 airbags and needs room for luggage. However, if you are a rural driver or you spend most of your time on highways with unpredictable fuel access, the E85 capability won't help you yet. Ultimately, the wagonR Flex Fuel Fuel is an excellent, safe machine that is waiting for the country's infrastructure to match its ambition. It is a smart buy for the safety hardware alone, but verify your local pumps before counting on those fuel savings. If you commute in an Indian